How do we actually stop inflation? You know, it's easy to talk about the problem. I'm guilty of it. Just saying this is the problem. Obviously, inflation shouldn't be at 8.6%, and that's their numbers. Really, we know it's a lot higher than that. But how do we actually stop it? What's the solution here? Our leaders would say things like, well, let's just tax the entrepreneurs. Tax the wealthy people. That's how we can solve this. Oh, we only make about 3-4 trillion a year in tax revenue, but we just tax the people making the jobs. That's how we stop inflation. They literally say that, our leaders. The Fed will tell you things like this. The Fed will tell you, oh, well, we just raise, the federal funds rate. Just raise rates a bit. That'll stop inflation. Really? Because to stop inflation that's at this kind of level, you had to do what Paul Volcker did, which was raise the rates around 20%. They say it's 8.6%, but if they use the same CPI from this time period, it would show that inflation's actually higher than it was back then. So if that was true, if the Fed could just raise rates to stop inflation, they would have to raise it well up into this range where I'm actually about here. They'd have to raise it around that level. So obviously that isn't a viable way to fight inflation. Oh, also there's a kick to that as well. There has not been a single time, and I've talked about this. If you've been a subscriber on my channel, please do take that quick second to hit the like button and then click the subscribe if you find this information valuable. But if you've been a subscriber, I've been talking about this on the channel for a while. Every single time they have raised the federal funds rate, see this little gray period here? That's a recession. It causes a recession. It's been a very accurate way to find out when a recession is around the corner is when they raise the federal funds rate. Here's when Paul Volcker did it. Raised the federal funds rate, boom, recession right after. Raised it up again, boom, recession right after. Have the federal funds rate start to raise it up, boom, recession. Start to raise it up, recession. Right before 2008, the housing bubble. Hey, check out these houses. We'll give you a real cheap loan on it, adjustable rate mortgage. Raise the rate, raise the rate, raise the rate. Oh, you can't afford the houses anymore. Major recession. Literally is a telltale sign. Here we go. Raising it, boom, recession. It is just what happens. So if they continue to do that, my reason for bringing that up is if they continue to raise rates like this, it's a pretty accurate, just my personal opinion, not financial advice, tell that they are going to cause a recession. So are they going to just cause a recession? Is that their plan? Because if they want to fight inflation in this way, like Paul Volcker did, they're going to have to raise it a lot higher than this little tiny jump right here to 1.58%. They're going to have to raise it a lot higher. So I'll leave that up to you to be the judge on that. It's pretty staggering to see these charts here, how much the energy sector has gone up in inflation. I know that we're all feeling it at the gas pump. But when they say 8.6%, is that the true figure? When they say right here, this is literally the report from the government. The energy index rose 34.6% over the last year, the largest 12-month increase since the period ending September 2005. Food is up quite a bit, about 10%. And this basically is, they're saying that this is the highest that they've seen since March 1981, which ironically is when we pull up that federal funds chart. March 1981 is when they had to raise rates. If it's at this rate, at that time period, they had to raise rates around 20%. So obviously this isn't going to stop it. All it will do is cause this gray period that followed right after that, which is a recession. I want to get to the actual solution though. So if I was a leader, all I have is my YouTube channel. So if you believe in what I'm saying, would really appreciate you sharing the content and subscribing. Click that red subscribe button and the bell afterwards. Also shoot me a follow on Instagram. I'm doing a lot of short form reels and stuff over there. So at Rob Soltan on Instagram, a lot of really cool stuff there if you want to know what I do for a business and just more about me and more short form type stuff over there on Instagram, Rob Soltan on Instagram. But enough with the filler material. It's like when you play one of those CDs and there's all this filler material. It's like, I hope that was actually a lot of valuable material, but what's the real answer? How do we stop inflation? That's what this video is all about. The way that you stop inflation is actually quite simple. You make more stuff. our leaders will say things like, oh, well, we'll just tax the rich. That's how you stop inflation. That doesn't stop inflation. That actually would further cause more inflation, in my personal opinion, because the way you actually stop inflation is you make more stuff in your economy. Now, the U.S. is in a tough position because we're consumers. We like to go drive places. We like to go eat nice food. We like to wear a fancy watch, even though this is more of an investment. But you get what I'm trying to say. The U.S. is mostly consumers. We're not really producing much. Now, we had the capability of producing a lot of oil, but it seems that the people, our leaders, quote unquote, turn off our pipeline. They turned off the Keystone pipeline. They turned off our ability to produce oil. And then everybody's wondering how why oil is so expensive. And then they don't want to solve the problem. Solving the problem is very simple. Stop importing oil from other places that are charging more and start producing oil. Better yet, export it. Make some money off the export. And with that profit, put it into renewables. I like renewable energy. I like solar panels. It's going to need a lot of silver for solar panels too. I like solar panels. But here's the thing. It's not something that you can just snap your fingers overnight and boom, your entire grid's running off solar panels. It doesn't work that way. It's going to take dozens and dozens of years to do that and a lot of money. So why not make the money off of our oil and put it into renewables over that time period? If there was really this major crisis, why do all these leaders have beachfront properties? What is that all about? Anyway, inflation, just my personal opinion. The way that you stop inflation is by making more stuff. So if you want the price of oil to go down, if you want inflation to go down in the energy sector, well, you produce more energy. It's that simple. It really is. But what's scary is we're seeing leaders using things like, taxing more or using types of cuts to give money back to people, tax cuts, things like that to go, okay, well, we'll take care of you. No energy's high, but this is how we can, finagle things around to earn your vote in the next election cycle. They all know that this doesn't solve the problem. It actually makes it worse. It's pouring gasoline on the fire. Pun intended, I guess. Because Lord knows we don't drill it. We just burn it around here. But it's sad to see it. It's sad to see it. Joking aside, it's a very simple solution. You want the price of cars to go down? Your country needs to make more cars. Increase competition. So ironically enough, even though their line that they get people to rally behind is tax the rich, stimulus packages, let's do all of that. No, if you hurt the entrepreneur, if you make it harder to build a business, if it's harder for a person to build a restaurant, is it going to make the prices go down? If you like a fancy restaurant nearby you and you go, wow, the prices are getting kind of expensive, do you think making it harder on them by charging them more taxes is going to make the price of your food go down? No. By making the environment easier to build a restaurant and get competition across the street that has great food at a great price and all these different, ways on how they're competing, you're going to get better food, you're going to get lower prices, and you're going to get higher quality. Well, better food, higher quality, same thing. But you get what I'm trying to say. I guess common sense is very uncommon because that is the true answer that everybody will dance around. That is how you stop inflation. You don't change numbers on a screen. You don't mess with the currency. You don't charge more interest rates. You don't do all of those things. It's a very simple process. You got to make more stuff and make it easier for the entrepreneurs that do make stuff. And ironically enough, if you lowered the taxes, if you made it easier to build a business, well, then guess what? There's going to be more jobs. There's going to be less people living paycheck to paycheck like there currently is. I don't really believe their unemployment data. I think that there's actually a lot more unemployed people because they're living paycheck to paycheck. One bad month puts 70% of the U.S. population on the street. Literally. That's a real stat. It's quite scary. So even though they'll say things like, well, we have a good employment, things are going, no, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They're barely getting by. One bad month puts 70% of them on the street. Crazy. And really, the solution is so simple. And I hope that this video actually did give you the real answer. I hope that it wasn't just a bunch of filler material. I hope that you actually found value from this video because in my mind and in a lot of economists' minds that are more Austrian-based, that that's how they believe, and that's how I believe. It's very simple. Lower energy, make more energy. You want lower energy, you got to make more. Period. You can't just, drain your reserves. Literally, I can't believe they did that. Those energy reserves are for crisis. The price getting out of control because you turned off your energy production is not a crisis. That's a self-imposed crisis. The energy reserve that we had is there for a good reason, and it wasn't for the reason to make it go down a few pennies for that week or whatever. It's a joke. I don't like to get too political on my channel, but really, if my goal was to make energy cost more money and make inflation continue to go up in the energy sector, I would do exactly what they have done. But I'm not, a diabolical game of chess. I'm not a diabolical chess player. But if I was, these are the things I would do. If I cared about the country, if I wanted the price of energy to go down, if I wanted my economy to thrive, I would make it easier for businesses to thrive. I would do everything I could for the entrepreneur, because the entrepreneur is how the economy booms. It's really that simple. I would make sure that we were pumping as much oil as possible and exporting it. There are people that are pumping it around the world right now, regardless of whatever laws are going on in the US. They're making a fortune on it in Saudi Arabia. They're making a fortune on it in Russia. And why do you think the ruble has recovered? Here's an interesting thing. Let me pull back. This is the ruble. Why do you think the ruble has recovered? Why do you think Switzerland might have accepted a huge import of gold from Russia? Because their currency is looking pretty strong all of a sudden. Probably because they're producing a lot of energy. Probably because they're not turning off their pipelines. Probably because other countries are relying on their energy. That's a very scary situation. This is at the beginning of them doing their invasion, and this is where it is now. It's higher than it ever was. This is in the last year. This is back from March. It's at a higher point now than it was prior to, much higher. Almost, it's gone up like, what is that, 60% since they did the invasion? It's like, that's insane. But the reason for that is they are producing. They are making things. So I like to break things down and simplify economics on my channel. I hope that this provides you some value. I know I say that a bunch of times, but if there's one way to get somebody to finally click that red subscribe over there, I know everybody says it. Sometimes I say like, oh, all right, yeah, fine. Yeah, keep saying the subscribe button thing. If you believe in the things that I'm saying and you want this message to get out there to more people, please do click that red subscribe and the bell afterwards, because it helps me grow this channel and help spread this message to more people. And if you know me from being a subscriber on my channel, I don't change my viewpoints. This is how I've thought for for years and years and years. There's videos that are posted to prove that. So thank you so much for being a subscriber. Thank you for following me again on the Instagram as well, because I'm trying to get some diversity going on. So it's not just one platform. So at Rob Soltan on Instagram, shoot me a follow there if you want to know what I do for a business. I just launched an auction house with mineralexchange.com. So if you want to check that out, please do. Thanks again, and I will see you at the next video. Signing out.